It's 2 a.m. and you're lying there in the dark, replaying a conversation you had 3 days ago. You're going over what you said, how you said it, the exact moment you laughed too loud or paused too long. And you're convinced the other person noticed. You're convinced they're still thinking about how strange you were. Except they're not. They've already forgotten. But you haven't. This isn't just overthinking. It's not even really about the conversation anymore. Because if you pay attention to which conversations you replay, you'll notice something. It's never the ones where you said something truly awful. It's the ones where you were just slightly off. A little too eager. A bit too quiet. You stumbled on a word. You misread the tone. These tiny moments loop in your mind for days, sometimes years, and you can't figure out why. Here's why. When you replay a conversation, you're not trying to understand what happened. You're trying to rewrite who you were in that moment. You're rehearsing a better version of yourself. The version that said the right thing at the right time. The version that was effortlessly cool, articulate, likable. And the reason it hurts so much is because that version doesn't exist. You're stuck with the real one. The one who showed up imperfect and human. And your brain can't let that go. Most people think replaying conversations is about the other person. Like you're trying to decode what they thought of you. But that's not it. You're not analyzing them. You're punishing yourself. You're collecting evidence that you're not who you want to be yet. And every time you press replay, you're widening that gap. Psychologists call this self-discrepancy theory. It's the idea that we suffer most when there's a gap between who we are and who we think we should be. That conversation isn't haunting you because it was bad. It's haunting you because it proved you're still working on yourself. Still awkward sometimes. Still learning. And for some reason, that feels unacceptable. But here's the part that changes everything. Every time you replay that conversation, you're not remembering what actually happened. You're remembering the last time you remembered it. Human memory doesn't work like a recording. It works like a story that gets rewritten every time you tell it. So that moment you've been replaying for weeks, you're not even torturing yourself over the real version anymore. You're replaying a distorted copy. One that's been edited by your anxiety, your insecurities, your fear of judgment. Which means the version in your head right now is probably worse than what actually happened. You've exaggerated the awkward pauses. You've invented reactions that weren't there. You've turned a forgettable moment into a defining one. Your brain is gaslighting you with your own memories. Now, some people will say they replay conversations to learn from them, to grow, to do better next time. And that sounds productive. But there's a difference between reflection and rumination. Reflection is when you think about something, learn from it, and move on. Rumination is when you think about it, extract a lesson, forget the lesson, replay it again, hate yourself, and then wonder why you feel so drained. It's a loop, and loops don't lead anywhere. The people who replay conversations the most aren't the ones focused on growth. They're the ones desperate for control. When you replay a conversation, you're trying to control how you're perceived. You're trying to rewrite the past. You're trying to fix something that's already over. And your brain hasn't accepted that it can't. So it keeps trying anyway, convinced that if you just analyze it one more time, you'll find the answer. But here's what's really happening. When you replay conversations, you're rehearsing being someone you're not. You're practicing a smoother, funnier, more confident version of yourself. And every time you do this, you're reinforcing a belief that the real you, the one who actually showed up, isn't good enough. That's the part that breaks my heart. Because the version of you replaying the conversation is trying to protect you. But it's doing the opposite. It's building a case against yourself. It's convincing you that one stumble means you're broken. And when you do this long enough, something shifts. You start believing that you need to be perfect to deserve connection. That one awkward moment defines your entire character. Researchers have found that people who struggle with self-compassion get trapped in these mental loops. And those loops feed directly into anxiety and depression. The less you forgive yourself for being human, the more your brain punishes you for it. The real tragedy isn't that you said something awkward 6 years ago. It's that you spent 6 years letting that moment define you. You've taken a single data point and turned it into your identity. You've given one conversation more power than it ever deserved. So let me ask you this. What if the conversations you can't stop replaying aren't the ones that matter most? What if you can't let them go because, on some level, Your brain knows they don't represent who you really are. Maybe your mind keeps circling back because it's trying to reconcile this one awkward moment with everything else it knows about you. It's saying this doesn't fit. I need to understand why. And maybe the answer isn't to replay it better. Maybe it's to stop giving it so much weight. Because here's the thing. Conversations are just moments. They're not predictions of who you'll always be. They're not proof of some fundamental flaw. They're just moments where you showed up as a human being, imperfect, trying, doing your best with whatever awareness you had that day. And that's enough. It's always been enough. The person you were in that conversation didn't have the benefit of hindsight. They didn't get a script or a second take. They just existed in real time, the way all of us do. So maybe it's time to stop pressing rewind. Maybe it's time to let those moments stay in the past where they belong. Imperfect and awkward and beautifully, painfully human. If this made sense to you, I'd love for you to subscribe. This channel breaks down human behavior in a way that's simple and honest. No fluff, just clarity. I'll see you in the next one.